Doctor Who, The Daleks, the second story of the first Doctor, is written by Terry Nation and starring William Hartnell, William Russell, Jackie Lynn Hill and Carol Ann Ford. So because of the historical events in An Unearthly Child, the second story to be a futuristic is always planned. Originally the story was going to be called Doctor Who and the Robots, also known as The Masters of Luxor, written by Anthony Coburn and directed by Rex Tucker, but then it got changed, but then got adapted as a Big Finish audio.
Your people created this device. You must know how to disarm it.
This Derivatron does not understand. This Derivatron does not understand. Not understand. Not understand.
So David Whittaker invited comedy writer Terry Nation, who was fascinated by his work in the science fiction series Out of This World. So what Terry did at home was written a 26-page outline for the story that was going to be called The Survivors, taking the inspiration from the threat of the racial extermination by the Nazis, and the Time Machine book written by H.G. Wells, and Verity Lambert was impressed and extended from 6-part story to 7 and went to show it to Sidney Newman and Donald Wilson, but they weren't happy about it and said no bug-eyed monsters, but there's no other scripts being prepared, so they had no choice but to accept it. Verity's first choice was Richard Martin to direct the story, but Donald Wilson wanted Christopher Barry to stay in charge. Other work commitments led to a compromise by the production team. Barry would direct the early episodes of the story, so the title was going to be The Survivors, Beyond the Sun, and then The Mutants, also known as the Daleks. The designer was originally going to be Ridley Scott, but because of commitments, it went to Raymond Cusick, given the job to realising the Dalek creatures. So the first design with a plain skirt section, bumpy midriff, with one pincer arm, and a short head with an eye lens, but Verity said no because it was too expensive. So the second design, a diamond patterned body and larger head and 2 double joint claw arms. One of the arms was replaced by a suction cup. Because of the low budget, the design was refined to fit over a small tricycle, and the arms were moved further down to allow the operator to see out of a metal gauze above the midriff. Lights were added to the dome to indicate which Dalek was speaking, as Christopher Barry suggested. So when Raymond Cusick met with Bill Roberts and using the pepper pot to show how the Daleks move, a wooden base with the skirt section made using fiberglass, it stood at 4'6", allowing a small seated actor inside. The BBC loved the idea of Shawcraft's design, allowing 3 weeks for the final models. Raymond wanted 6 Daleks, but the 500 budget only allowed for 4. Final models stood at 4'8", pointed in silver with grey trimmings and light blue balls on the skirt, and used Christmas tree lights for the dome and cover it with ping pong ball, operated by the actor inside. I have to say, it's a fantastic design, it's so iconic. Terry Nation looked at the set of Encyclopediapedia with one volume where a section of the alphabet from Dal, Lek, so he came up with that name, which is genius. So the filming began 28th of October 1963 and ended 10th of January 1964, and Sidney Newman took it back and really impressed with the Daleks. It was like, no bug-eyed monsters, no, we're not having any of this in Doctor Who, no, not happening, so get that away, no.
A few moments later.
Weapons again. In that case, the condition will be permanent.
They're fantastic. Verity? Well done, kids. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So episode 1, aka The Dead Planets, the TARDIS landed in a mysterious jungle. After the Doctor, Ian, Susan and Barbara cleaned themselves up, they had a look around and Susan found a pretty flower. So Ian helped to pick it up gently, but after Barbara called for him, he crushed it in Susan's hand. Oh dear. As Barbara sees a lizard, but it's just a statue, they realise that they're not on Earth. While Ian tries to get Barbara to believe that they'll go back, The Doctor and his companion sees a huge city. The models is fantastic.
A huge city.
Well, Doctor, can you see anything? Any sign of life?
No sign of life.
The Doctor wanted to look at the city, no one else does. So while everyone is heading back to the TARDIS, someone tapped Susan on the shoulder and went to Ian. Wonder who it could be. Susan thinks that no one believed her. Ian wonders what they're going to eat with them being travellers now, so the Doctor went to the food machine eating a white block.
There we are then.
Eggs and bacon, thank you.
Bacon and eggs.
What, this?
Ian and Barbara wanted bacon and eggs, so they got the bacon and egg flavoured block, which is clever. Blimey, talking about it makes me wanting an all-day breakfast. So they heard a tapping noise and looked at the scanner. Everyone but the Doctor wanted to leave, so he sneakingly takes out the fluid link so he can trick the others to go down to the city to have a look. I like how the Doctor started grumpy, careless and mischievous old man. So they suggested going down to the city. As they got out of the TARDIS, there was a metal box and inside are drugs, vials filled with an amber liquid. After Susan put it inside the TARDIS for safekeeping, they went down to the city and split it up. We have cool design on the corridors and doors. As Barbara walks around on the corridor on her own, she gets trapped and then the plunger went towards her, which leads to cliffhanger, which is well done. And I think it is one of the iconic cliffhangers in classic Doctor Who. So in episode 2, The Survivors, while the Doctor, Ian and Susan were looking for Barbara, they went inside a room where they noticed the radiation point has reached the dangerous level. Ian refuses to allow everyone to leave until they found Barbara, because they found out that the Doctor tricks them to get into the city. As they walk out, we get an awesome iconic scary scene where they're surrounded by the Daleks.
You will move ahead of us and follow my directions.
As Ian tries to get away, the Daleks paralysed him, as they can stung you as well as kill.
Legs!
And for the first time they don't say exterminate, they say fire instead. So the Doctor, Ian and Susan got taken into the cell where Barbara is, but the Doctor is taken to see the Daleks to learn from them as he's been interrogated. It is so cool to look back and seeing the Doctor meeting the Daleks for the first time, and certainly not the last. The Daleks revealed that they're the survivors of neutronic war with a race called the Thals. As the Doctor is returned to the cell, everyone is dying with radiation unless they use the drugs. The Doctor was passing out, so they got Susan walking into the city, who seemingly is scared and worried that she doesn't make it in time, as I think Carol Ann Ford did a fantastic job with the acting. So she went inside the TARDIS, picked some drugs up, and there was a thunder and lightning. In episode 3, The Escape, Susan went out of the TARDIS and she meets a blonde guy who is a Thal called Alidon, as he's the one who touched Susan on the shoulder and left the drugs for them. She tells them about the Daleks, so Alidon gave Susan another drugs and his strange cloak. We learn that the Thals are another race from Skaro. They're the peaceful race and they wanted food and peace, but the Daleks were having none of it. Because anything that's not them they destroy. So the Daleks took Susan to the control room to write the Thals a letter. We see more races of the Thals and a leader, Temesis. They finally got a letter to tell them to come to the city and collect the food. Obviously not a good idea. So the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan pretended to fight so they can pull the camera off and finding a way to escape. After recovering from radiation sickness, they're thinking that the Daleks are overpowered by static electricity as they move on metal like dodgems.
When they move about, there's a sort of acrid smell.
Yes, I've noticed that. I know. A fairground.
So they came up with an idea using non-metal to put a Dalek on to stop it, so they used Alidon's cloak. Because the Daleks can only see with their eye stalk, so Barbara came up with an idea using a dirt to block its eyesight. So the next time Dalek arrived, they jammed the door, blocking the Dalek eyesight with mud, deactivate it by moving it on Alidon's cloak. But hey, it's worked! So a way to escape without them suspecting anything is they remove Dalek creature from the inside, and Ian goes inside a Dalek machine, while we get a scary Dalek mutant moving from under the cloak. Episode 4, The Ambush, Ian has found a way to control the Dalek machine, which is cool, so they tricked a Dalek to get into the lift. So then the Dalek realised it messed up, so they sounded the alarm. And the Dalek that Ian is inside can't move, and they couldn't get him out either, which is pretty intense, because we thought at that point he's screwed and now he's gonna die. So the Doctor, Barbara and Susan left Ian and went up the lift. The lift came back for him, and luckily he was out and got into the lift in time as the Daleks broke the door down and destroyed the Dalek machine that Ian was in. While Thals are moving into the city, the Doctor and his companions tried to warn them, but the Thals couldn't hear them. As the lift is about to come back up, they put a big rock down the lift and escaped. Meanwhile, the Thals have found a pile of food, so Nemesis tried to reason with them, hoping the Daleks and Thals can be friends. But unfortunately... Yep, as a result, Nemesis is exterminated to death. As Ian warns Thals, so everyone but Nemesis manages to escape. I think William Hartnell again is great as the first Doctor. William Russell and Jackie Lynn Hill as Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright are amazing. I love Carol Ann Ford as Susan Foreman. I love the Thals as well. John Lee as Alidon, the first Thal we see, is likeable. He became the leader of the Thals after Nemesis is killed. Alan Wheatley, who played Nemesis, has worked with William Hartnell in an episode of The Flying Doctor, which is cool. Haha, the Doctor. And he did a great job. Virginia Wetherell, who played Dione, the female Thal, has worked with Richard Martin, which I have to admit she's the best looking Thal we have. Plus I think she's great as well. Dinsdale Landon was originally going to play Ganatus, but the filming dates changed and got him out of the story, so he got replaced by Bond, Philip Bond, and he did an excellent job. I loved his chemistry with Barbara. I think Marcus Hammond, Gerald Curtis, Jonathan Crane are great as Anatus, Alien and Christus. Peter Hawkins and David Graham did a fantastic job voicing the Daleks. And like I said, I love the design, white and silver with blue spots. The fact it's a low budget series and having to shoot everything in one take, I don't care what people says, that's impressive. Music by Tristram Cary gave me the goosebumps, as he did so well. I'm aware that people say that the plot does drag and it is too long, but at least we get to spend more time with Ian and Barbara, who are likeable, and same with the Doctor and Susan, so it doesn't make it all bad. So after everyone is back in the jungle, we learn that Skaro is the 12th planet, and the Daleks were also called Dals. The fact that Skaro is the 12th planet, I already learned that in a Dalek book. The Thals were pretty baffled on why the Daleks would attack them, so Ian had to explain to them it's because they're different, as the Daleks are the inspiration from the Nazis.
Explanation might be better. It's stupid and ridiculous, but it's the only one that fits.
What?
A dislike for the unlike.
I don't follow you.
They're afraid of you because you're different from them. So whatever you do, it doesn't matter.
As the Doctor and his companions are about to leave, Ian has left the fluid link in the city.
The Daleks took it from me when they searched me. It's down there somewhere. In the city.
Oh great, looks like we have to go back there. So in episode 5, The Expedition, Ian tries to get the Thals to fight, but they refuse as their peaceful race. And we get a dark moment when Ian took Dione's hand to take her to the city and Alidon punched him. The scene I found hilarious was after when a Dalek is spinning around shouting hell, there was a Dalek making a scream noise when it goes, ah, ah, ah. That really crackled me up. So they eventually agreed because they couldn't let the Doctor and his companions defeat the Daleks on their own. So Ian, Barbara and 4 of the Thals camped out, but Elian gets eaten by something in the lake. Which leads to episode 6, The Ordeal. We find out that Elian is dead. The Doctor, Susan and Alidon went straight into the city. After Alidon walks off, Susan and the Doctor gets captured by the Daleks. Meanwhile, Ian, Barbara, Ganatus, Antodus and Christus went through the cave, as everyone but Anatus jumped across, who lost his balance and was about to fall, and his weight is dragging Ian off the rocks.
I can't hold on!
In episode 7, The Rescue, Anatus cuts the rope and falls to his death, which is a sad scene, and they weren't sure if they can go on, but they found an entrance to the city. While the Doctor and Susan gets tied up in the control room, as the Daleks are planning to wipe anyone that's not Daleks out, Ian, Barbara, Ganatus and Christus reunite with Alidon, so we get a cool battle scene.
5, 4.
They set the Doctor and Susan free. 2 of the Thals get killed, but Christus must be a fighter as he got exterminated, but he managed to fight a Dalek, and still alive. Wow. So after the Daleks are defeated, they get Fluid Link back and return to the jungle, saying goodbye to the Thals, which is sad because they're so likeable. As they're back in the TARDIS fades away, and all of a sudden it explodes and the Doctor and his companions fell unconscious. Uh-oh, what's gonna happen? But yeah, I think this is a great story, great way to introduce the Daleks and building up the Doctor's relationship with his companions. We also get Doctor Who and the Daleks movie starring Peter Cushing as Doctor Who, where in that version he's a human being and his second name is Who, and it was based off this story. Adapted by Milton Subotsky, and I really enjoyed that movie as well. On 2nd of November 2023, a 75-minute colorized version of the story, known as The Daleks in Color, was announced in order to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the show, with their new music score by Mark Ayres, with the original sound design and new material written by Russell T Davies, and recorded by original Dalek voice actor David Graham.
Stay where you are!
And it was made to be enjoyable for the modern audience. For the colorization, each character was allocated a colour palette for consistency, and then The Daleks in Colour was released on BBC4 on 23rd of November 2023, then later available on BBC iPlayer. Then the DVD came out along with the Steelbook. So, what did you guys think of this Dalek 7-part story? Did you like it, all 7 parts? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.